I am at Ford Performance Center in Etobicoke, Ontario, where the Toronto Maple Leafs practice. And we just got done talking to the meat of the team and coach Craig Berube. It is locker clean out day because, as you know, the Leafs lost in Game 7 to the Florida Panthers on Sunday, and today they have their end of season media availability. Let's start with the head coach. I have notes on the important things out of locker clean out day, so we're going to go through them, or go through all the players, and I'll place a little bit of audio when the audio matters to the topics we're talking about. And we're going to start at the top. We talk to the coach first, and if you're looking for answers on what happened during Game 7, what Craig Berube told us was structure. That's what he kept going back to throughout the entire chat. It was they lost their structure in the second period there, and I think to start the game, he thought they didn't have structure either. But really, the emphasis was in that second period where they're down, where they let in 3 goals. They lost their structure, and it's about playing in situations where you do not lose your structure. He kept going back to that. He kept going back to that, and he thought that the team did a lot of great things all year long. He mentioned winning the division. He mentioned the 108 points. He mentioned changing the playing style of the Leafs. And if you listen to Steve Dangle podcast, that's something I've been very proud of this team and this organization and this coach of doing, because it's such a better brand of hockey to win in the playoffs. But they lost that. They lost that in the most crucial moments. And that was kind of his takeaway on what happened there. And it's about getting this team next season, when he's back as the head coach, to not lose that structure in the most important part of the year and the most important game of the year, and continue to play in the way that they played in the previous 82 games and the playoffs when they were playing well. So that's kind of the answer we have on what happened in Game 7. That's kind of what he wanted to deliver to the media. So that's the takeaway there from Craig Berube. And next up, let's go to Auston Matthews, the captain, who spoke. And the main thing Auston told us was about his injury, and something we all kind of speculated about. He obviously left for Germany mid-season or early season and tried to rehab the injury there and get it all better. And he admitted that he was dealing with it all season long. It was an injury from training camp, and even through the playoffs, he was dealing with it. Here's the audio on that one.
Got injured in training camp. Obviously wasn't feeling great throughout the first month or so of the season. Took some time off. Went to Germany, did all these things to try to feel better. Then just kind of in a place that felt like I can manage it. There was obviously some good stretches where I felt good. There were some stretches where I didn't feel very good. Definitely a tough year.
Did it impact your ability to shoot the puck?
I think it impacted a lot of different things for sure. Yeah, like I said, there was good stretches. There was stretches that weren't so good. It was just kind of a bit of a roller coaster, unfortunately, throughout the whole season, throughout playoffs, just on a day-to-day basis.
So there is the admission. All season long, Auston's play was affected by this injury. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, and I think we can all deduce kind of when it flared up in the season, when his performance would drop, and when it got better. Now, a lot of fans online who saw these quotes are questioning whether the Leafs should have shut him down, whether he should have been allowed to go to 4 Nations, and I always default to the training staff of the Toronto Maple Leafs on doing the right thing, because they are one of the best in the league, and that's from players across the league. They always say how good the training staff of the Leafs is, and I believe that if they truly thought it would hurt their season having Matthews play at 4 Nations, they would have kept him out. That is, at the end of the day, it's his decision, but it's also his decision with his doctors. They felt at the time that his injury was okay enough to play through for 4 Nations, and I don't think him sitting out there would have changed the results of this season. If it was flaring up and going away and coming back and going away and then coming back and then doing all that full dance throughout the season, I don't imagine that him sitting out the couple weeks at 4 Nations would have changed that. He sat out early on to try and fix it, and I don't know if sitting out later would have fixed it. And it did flare up in the playoffs again. Like Auston said, it came and went in the playoffs. I don't think that changes because he sat out the tournament in February. The biggest story this offseason off the ice for the Leafs will be Mitch Marner and his future, and he was asked about it, and he said he has not thought about his future as a Toronto Maple Leaf or where he's going to play next season. Here's the audio on that.
It's tough to process at this moment. Like I keep saying, it's so fresh. It's 24 hours of our season ending. I haven't thought about anything. I haven't sat down with my wife. I haven't talked to her about future, next steps. And like I said, that'll be in the next couple weeks. We'll do that. We'll start figuring stuff out. And but I think, like I said, forever grateful, and, especially with this group.
So over the next couple of weeks, he's going to think about what he wants to do with his wife, like he said, and then Mitch will decide if he wants to be a Leaf or not. And I think it's very obvious to everybody on the outside, and I think to Mitch, that he's going to July 1st. He's going to get his offers from whoever wants to offer him, and he's going to look at the contracts and the options for his life moving forward, and if he wants to play in Toronto and if he wants to be a Leaf. And that's his right as a free agent. He had his no movement clause, and he had his contract expiring here, so the decision's all up to him, and you have to respect that he got to this point in his career and he wants to make this decision for his family and his life. And I personally don't think Mitch Marner will be playing with the Toronto Maple Leafs next season. Everything is pointing to him going to July 1st and signing a massive contract with a team that wants to offer him that massive contract come July 1st. Anthony Stolarz gave us the update we were all looking for out of Stolarz, and he confirmed that he did get a concussion when Sam Bennett hit him in the head.
No, it's just an unfortunate incident that just caught me in a bad spot, and just had to go through the steps to get healthy.
And you have a concussion?
Yeah, I did.
Do you think the puck you took off the face also?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've taken a lot of pucks off my helmet in my career, and I felt fine. I mean, the way I felt after that, I mean, I think it was probably another 45 minutes. I didn't feel anything, and then kind of after that incident is when I started feeling the symptoms.
And you can hear there, that's Chris Johnston of The Chris Johnston Show on SDPN, asking if the puck that hit him earlier before he got hit in the head by Sam Bennett had any effect on his concussion. And Stolarz says no, like he gets hit with pucks in the head all the time, and that didn't clearly cause the concussion. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if it has an effect, but there from the horse's mouth, he says no, the concussion came from when Bennett elbowed him in the head. And he downplayed the intent of Bennett to elbow him in the head earlier in the scrum, but there's confirmation it was a concussion. It's from the elbow, and that's from Stolarz himself. John Tavares is the other big free agent on the Toronto Maple Leafs besides Mitch Marner, and he confirmed today again that he wants to be back as a Toronto Maple Leaf. A little bit of news, though, because that's not news. We all know he's been saying that all season long. He wants to be back as a Leaf. But today he did confirm that he spoke to Brad Treliving and Berube after their loss, and he said that he had good conversations with them and that he's going to try and find a way, if it works for him and the team and his family, to be back as a Leaf. So good that he had good conversations. I love to hear that.
Had positive conversations with the tree and chief today, and very optimistic that it can work out where I'm back.
Matthew Knies was asked about an offer sheet, and I thought it was fascinating to hear him ask that question. Pierre LeBrun asked him that question. Matthew Knies just said, I want to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. That's where my worry is.
I want to be here. I want to play here. That's all that matters to me.
So Leaf fans, I don't think you should worry about Matthew Knies getting offered an offer sheet, because in order for an offer sheet to be valid, the player has to accept the offer sheet, and it doesn't sound like Matthew Knies is going to accept an offer sheet to force the hand of the Leafs or anything like that. So I think we're all good on the offer sheet part of Matthew Knies in this offseason. Who knows what his RFA deal is going to look like? It's probably going to be a little expensive based on how good he is right now, but you got to pay for good players, and Matthew Knies is earning every dollar he's going to get this offseason right now. Offer sheet, though, I don't think we got to worry about that. It doesn't sound like he's going to accept one. The biggest storyline coming out of Game 7 that's been peddled by every Florida Panther is the pressure of playing in Toronto. I feel like they've been trolling Leafs fans and the Leafs media and everything by going on all these different platforms and talking about how difficult it is for Leafs players to play in Toronto. And every single player we talked to today downplayed that, and they said the pressure is a good thing. Joseph Woll had the best answer on the pressure of playing in Toronto, and he loves the pressure, and he thinks pressure is great for the team and the organization, because that means people care.
Well, first off, I think there's pressure anywhere you play, right? And the thing about pressure is it comes from a good place, right? It comes from us having fans that care. It comes from us having media that cares, from players that care. I've had a unique experience of only playing for this team, so I can't really speak for an experience of playing for a different team, but I know that there's nowhere I'd rather play, and I'm happy how much people care. And it really it makes you have to focus that much harder and really be in the moment that much more when you have that pressure. And the flip side of it is if you don't have pressure and no one cares, like, I think it's pretty awesome that everyone cares as much. From the outside and from what I can experience from the inside.
And lastly, we do not have information yet on the future of upper management of the Toronto Maple Leafs, of Brad Treliving as GM and Brendan Shanahan as president of the Toronto Maple Leafs. A press conference is to come from somebody, whether it's Keith Pelly, the guy who runs the whole thing for Rogers, or whether it's Brendan Shanahan talking about him returning as president. His contract is up. He needs a new one. And Brad Treliving has not spoken since the team lost in the playoffs. So we're still waiting on when that press conference can be called, and the fact that they have not done it yet just speaks to me that they're still making the decision. I don't feel like they even know what decision they're going to make here, and it's on Keith Pelly right now to make that decision on whether he wants to retain Brendan Shanahan, what sort of contract they are going to work out. And I don't even know if they know themselves right now what direction they want to take this franchise. While you are here, hit like, hit subscribe on the channel. This is also available on any audio platform. Let me know your thoughts on the Leafs end of season media avail. It is going to be a fun off season.